Just a week ago, I worked as an usher in a huge, very old movie theater. It was a decaying multi-story building with sticky carpets, flickering neon signs, and long, endless hallways. Since it was an independent theater, we showed a lot of films that the big chains ignored. Old classics, art house movies, and late at night, unbelievably cheap, low-budget horror films. Movies full of fake gore, disgusting special effects, and terrible acting. There was one specific tiny screening room reserved for those movies, located at the very end of the longest hallway on the second floor. My job was simple. I stood near the ticket booth, helped customers find the correct theater, and when the movies ended, I cleaned up spilled popcorn and thrown away soda cups. It was boring, quiet work, and honestly, I liked the routine. 3 months ago, that routine was broken. It started on a Thursday night. It was late, around 11 o'clock, the final showing of the night. A man walked up to the ticket counter. There was nothing remarkable about him. Average height, average build, plain dark jacket. Completely forgettable. The kind of face you stop remembering the second you look away. A young woman stood beside him. She wore a bright yellow coat and looked exhausted. She didn't say a single word. She just stood slightly behind him, staring blankly at the colorful carpet. The man stepped to the counter and asked for tickets to the midnight horror screening in the tiny theater at the end of the hallway. That night, they were showing a notorious, ultra-violent B-movie about a family of cannibals. It was awful, and nobody had bought tickets for it all week. The cashier told him the price for 2 tickets. The man shook his head. Then he pulled out a thick stack of cash and placed it on the counter. He said he wanted to buy every seat in the theater. He wanted the entire room reserved exclusively for himself and the girl. The cashier looked confused, but money is money. The manager approved the sale. The man was handed a long strip of tickets, and he walked down the hallway toward the theater while the girl silently followed behind him. I was standing near the entrance to the hallway. I watched them disappear through the heavy wooden doors. Part of my job involved checking the screening rooms. Every 45 minutes, I had to enter whichever movie was playing, stand at the back, and make sure nobody was recording the film, smoking, or causing problems. 45 minutes later, I walked down the quiet hallway and slipped into their theater. I cracked the door open just enough not to let too much light in. The screen exploded with violent, flashing colors. The movie was showing something unbelievably grotesque, some drawn-out surgical torture scene. The sound was loud and sharp. I looked down at the seats. The man and the girl sat motionless in the middle of the second row, staring directly ahead at the horrifying images on the screen. I closed the door and went back to the lobby. An hour later, the movie ended. I grabbed a broom and trash bag and waited near the hallway exit for them to leave so I could clean the room and go home. The heavy doors at the end of the corridor opened. The man stepped out. He adjusted his dark jacket, walked past me without making eye contact, and headed straight for the main exit. I waited 2 minutes for the girl in the yellow coat to follow him. She never came out. I assumed she was in the bathroom, so I walked down the hallway and entered the theater. The lights turned on. The screen went dark. The room was empty. I walked the aisles. Nobody there. I checked the small restroom behind the mesh door. Empty. I checked the emergency exit at the front of the theater. Locked. If someone had opened that door, the entire building would have been blasted by a loud emergency alarm. But the alarm had never gone off. I was confused, but eventually shrugged it off. Maybe I'd missed her leaving. Maybe she slipped past while I was looking at my phone. I swept the floor, locked up, and went home. The next Thursday night, at exactly the same time, the man came back. Same dark jacket. Different girl. This one had curly dark hair and wore a wool sweater. Just like the first girl, she looked exhausted, detached, and silent. Again, The man bought every seat in the theater for the late-night horror screening. Different movie. Same type. Violent, low-budget slasher trash. They walked down the hallway. 45 minutes later, I checked the theater. They sat in the exact same seats in the second row, staring blankly at the screen. When the movie ended, the man walked out alone. I entered the theater. Empty. Emergency exit locked. No girl. This continued every Thursday for 3 straight months. Every week, the exact same pattern. The man arrived at 11 o'clock with a new girl, some tall, some short, some in dresses, some in jeans, but every single one had the same exhausted, vacant expression. None of them ever spoke. He bought the entire theater. They entered together. During my checks, I'd see them sitting side by side in the darkness, illuminated by the flickering light of another disgusting horror movie. And every single week, the man walked out alone while the theater remained completely, impossibly empty. Eventually, I stopped sleeping. I checked the emergency exits constantly to make sure the alarms weren't broken. They worked perfectly. I inspected the ceiling tiles in the restroom to see if someone could crawl through the vents. Impossible. That tiny theater had only one entrance and one exit, and I watched both of them constantly. I started questioning my sanity. I wondered if I'd imagined the girls. But the cashiers saw them too. Whenever I brought it up to my coworkers, they just shrugged. They didn't care. They were minimum wage employees who just wanted to go home. Nobody cared that women entered that room and seemingly vanished from existence. By the second month, paranoia completely consumed me. I decided I needed to know the truth. One Thursday night, the movie ended. The man stepped out of the theater and started walking toward the exit. I stopped him. "Excuse me, sir," I said. My voice was shaking. He stopped and looked at me. Up close, his face was even more forgettable than before. His eyes contained nothing. They were dull, flat, completely lifeless. "Yes?" he asked calmly. The girl you came with," I stammered, cold sweat forming on my neck. "Where did she go? I need to close the theater." The man didn't blink. The corners of his mouth slowly stretched into a smile. It was the most unnatural expression I'd ever seen. The smile never reached his eyes. It looked like someone had hooked fishing lines into his cheeks and pulled upward. "She already left," he said softly. "She didn't enjoy the movie. It was too scary for her." "But I was standing right here," I said, my heart pounding violently. "I never saw her leave." The fake smile remained frozen on his face. He leaned slightly closer. "You must have missed her," he whispered. "You should pay closer attention to your surroundings." Then he walked past me and disappeared into the night. I stood frozen in the hallway, trembling. I knew he was lying. I knew I hadn't missed her. The contradiction tore my mind apart. People cannot simply disappear. So last Thursday, I called in sick. I waited until 10:30 p.m., put on a dark hoodie and jeans, and returned to the theater disguised so my coworkers wouldn't recognize me. I bought a ticket from the self-service kiosk and hid near the bathrooms at the end of the hallway. At exactly 11 o'clock, the man arrived. Another new girl. This one wore a red dress. Pale skin, distant eyes. She moved sluggishly while the man guided her forward by the hand. He pushed open the theater doors. I waited 30 seconds. Then I slipped inside after them. The room was almost completely dark, except for the flashing light from the screen. Another horrible horror movie screamed through the speakers. I crouched low and hid in the very back row. The man and the girl sat together in the middle of the second row. I watched them for nearly 2 hours. They never spoke, never moved. They just stared at the screen while horrifying scenes unfolded in front of them. Finally, The movie reached its climax. The soundtrack erupted into chaotic noise. The man slowly turned toward the girl. He placed one hand on the back of her head. She didn't react, didn't flinch, didn't pull away. She simply turned toward him with a completely blank expression. Then he kissed her. At first it looked normal, intimate, but when the flashing light illuminated them, I realized something was horribly wrong. The man wrapped both arms around her waist and pulled her tightly against his chest. Too tightly. Crushingly tight. The girl didn't struggle. Instead, the outline of her body started to blur. In the flickering projector light, I watched the fabric of her red dress press into his dark jacket. And then, the fabric began sinking into him. Her shoulders folded inward and merged into his chest. Her arms flattened against his ribs. He never broke the kiss as her face slowly melted into his own. Her dark hair disappeared into his skin. Her pale cheeks dissolved into his jawline. The red dress vanished completely into the fabric of his coat. 30 seconds later, the seat beside him was empty. The man sat alone. He inhaled deeply, slowly, and his stomach expanded slightly, like someone who had just eaten a massive meal. Then he calmly turned back toward the screen and continued watching the movie. I was paralyzed. My brain refused to accept what my eyes had just witnessed. A violent wave of nausea rose into my throat. I knew I had to escape before the movie ended and the lights came on. I slowly stood from the back row and crouched toward the exit. My entire body shook so violently I could barely feel my legs. Then my heel caught the edge of the carpeted step. I lost my balance and crashed face first into the back of a seat. My knee slammed into the wooden floor with a loud crack. The sound echoed through the theater. I froze. Slowly, I lifted my head and looked toward the second row. I expected to see the man standing there, but the row was empty. He was gone. I frantically scanned the theater. Flashing light illuminated endless empty seats. Nobody. Then I grabbed the exit door handle, and something small and wet splattered onto my shoulder. I stopped, touched my hoodie. My fingers came away wet. In the dim projector light, I saw dark red blood. Cold terror flooded my body. I knew I should run. Instead, I slowly tilted my head upward toward the ceiling. The theater ceiling was high and painted black to prevent light reflection. And directly above me was the man. He clung upside down to the ceiling without holding on to anything, defying gravity like an insect on glass. His limbs spread unnaturally wide. He stared down at me. His eyes glowed a sickly yellow. That stretched, fake smile split across his face again, even wider this time, revealing rows and rows of sharp, inhuman teeth. I opened my mouth to scream. Before I could make a sound, he launched himself from the ceiling with horrifying speed. His body slammed into mine. We crashed into the back row. One hand clamped over my mouth and nose, suffocating me completely. The other pinned me against the seats with impossible strength. I fought desperately, kicked, scratched, twisted. Nothing moved him. His fingers felt like freezing iron bars crushing my skin. He leaned close to my face. "I know you," he whispered. His voice vibrated inside my chest. "You work here," he said. "You're the boy who sweeps the floors." I tried screaming again, but only muffled sobs escaped me. "You stopped me in the hallway weeks ago," he continued calmly. "You asked where the girl went." He leaned even closer. His skin radiated unnatural cold. "At first I assumed it was coincidence," he whispered. "But the fact that you're sitting here in the dark confirms my suspicions." His glowing eyes narrowed. "You remember them?" He loosened his grip on my mouth just enough for me to gasp for air. "When I consume them," he said quietly, "they cease to exist. Their physical forms become mine, but their presence is erased. Families forget them. Friends forget them. Records disappear. Reality adjusts itself so that they were never born. He paused. But you remember the girls, he whispered. You see them every week. You remember every single one. Tears streamed down my face. I didn't care about memories. I didn't care about reality. I just wanted to survive. That means you're special, he said softly. I haven't encountered someone special in a very long time. His expression darkened into hunger. I wonder what you taste like. He pressed one finger against my cheek, then pushed inward. There was no resistance. His finger slid through my flesh like my face was made of warm water. The pain exploded through my skull like molten metal. I convulsed beneath him, screaming into his hand. Then he suddenly pulled his finger back. The pain remained, throbbing, burning. But the physical sensation vanished. He stared at his finger in confusion, then looked back at me. Fear entered his glowing eyes for the first time. If a special person is here, he whispered slowly, awake, remembering. His expression twisted into paranoia. Does that mean the hunters are nearby? I had no idea what he meant. Are you with them? He hissed suddenly. Do you work for the hunters? Then I realized something impossible. This creature was afraid, and that gave me hope. Yes! I shouted desperately against his hand. Yes! The word came out muffled, but my frantic nodding made the meaning clear. He froze. The movie credits rolled silently behind him. Then he slowly removed his hand from my mouth. I gasped for air. Listen carefully, he said coldly. I do not want war with them. Not here. Not now. He eased his weight off my chest. I'll make you a deal, he said quickly. I won't consume you. I won't kill you. I'll leave this city tonight and never return. Then he pointed a pale finger at my face. But you will tell the hunters you saw nothing, he whispered. Tell them the trail went cold. Tell them I was never here. His glowing eyes narrowed. If you send them after me, I'll find you before they do, and I'll make you beg me for death. My entire body shook. Deal, he whispered. Yes, I breathed, I swear. He stared at me for several long seconds. Then the yellow glow in his eyes faded away. The fake smile returned. Good, he whispered. He stood, then launched upward with explosive force, slamming against the ceiling. Like a giant spider, he sprinted across the black surface toward an air vent near the screen. He ripped the metal grate away like paper, then disappeared into the darkness. I ran. I left the theater immediately, packed a bag at my apartment, and took a taxi to the airport. I bought the first international flight I could find and paid cash. Now I'm sitting in a cheap roadside motel thousands of miles away. My cheek still hurts. There's no scar when I look in the mirror, but the pain reminds me every second that this really happened. I promised him I wouldn't tell the hunters. I promised I'd say I saw nothing, but I can't stay silent. Every time I close my eyes, I see the girl in the red dress dissolving into his jacket. I see all the others. All the girls who entered that theater and vanished from reality itself. So I'm writing this for the hunters. If you exist, if you search these forums looking for the things hiding in the dark. I lied to him. He's still out there. He's feeding. And he knows you're hunting him. Please find him. Stop him. Before he finds me first.